Okay guys, I'm dividing this in two parts. I've tried to upload this several times and record this, and due to issues on my phone, the freaking videos were deleted because I was out of space. So I'm getting really upset with this. This is going to be my last attempt. Hopefully it works out. If anything messes up, I'm not editing, I'm just done. So, the very first thing I wanted to discuss, I'm going to break it in two parts, two different topics, so the videos aren't as long, they don't take as long to upload, and I don't have to worry about deleting anything and losing my videos. The first topic I want to talk about, these are two things that I learned about yesterday. Some of you guys might know, some of you might not. And of course you'll know by the title of this one. I'm going to go ahead and start with, I did it backwards, but I'm going to do it different this time. So I'm going to start with the expansion of Graceland first. Apparently they are trying to expand Graceland even more. I couldn't believe it, but then again I could when I heard it, because I'm thinking to myself, what in the hell do they possibly need to expand more for? Okay, they already have everything they could possibly need that either had anything to do with Elvis, or anything they can make to do with Elvis. It's come to the point to where it's not even what Elvis was or what he would have did. It's all about how can we make money, what can we do to make more money and charge more money from these fans. Everything that they have is because of these fans. Elvis knew that when he started. He knew it the day he died. That's why, even though he never had any privacy, everywhere he went he was even trapped behind the gates of Graceland because the fans would not stop. No matter the fact of that, he still respected and loved his fans, because he always remembered, we are the reason, we were the reason, and even still today, for his success. It may all be under his name, but now sadly it's other people's money. And I do want to start by saying, some of you have the impression that Lisa Marie runs EPE. She does not run EPE. She no longer has anything to do with EPE. As a matter of fact, she sold EPE. And she even went into a lawsuit with the people, I think, that she sold it to this last year, because they had lost it. She does not own it. Priscilla owns the hotel, and they own all that property with everything to do with Graceland itself, in the museums and all that. But when it comes down to EPE, that's all EPE, and Priscilla with the hotel. Lisa Marie only owns Graceland and the property that her family is buried on, and if I'm not mistaken, probably the property that the rest of all the museums are on. But she does not have anything to do with Elvis Presley Enterprises. That's not Lisa. She no longer has anything to do with it. She sold everything and kept what she needed to of Graceland, the home that she grew up with inside of, and the land that her daddy is buried on and her family is buried on. So just know, guys, this is not Lisa Marie's doing at all. Charging for the visual wasn't really Lisa Marie's doing. They won't, from what I hear, won't be doing that anymore anyways. I think Elvis would have been rolling in his grave, furious to find out his fans were being charged to pay their respects to him. So, and just to go through the tours alone, the biggest package that they have is will be $200 with tax. The cheapest package I think they have is $65. You get an option to add the planes on for $5. You don't get an option to just go see certain museums. You have to, the mansion's included. You can just get the mansion, but then after that it's the mansion and all these museums. You can't just go to these museums without going into the mansion and paying for all that. But you can add the planes on for $5 to these cheaper tickets. But for some reason you can't add anything else on when they're all different museums and different prices and different money. So I don't understand that, because there's 5 of us going when we do get to go. I'm having to save to go. We can't stay in the hotel because it's too much money. They charge you $10 to park there. They charged Billy to park there when he stayed there. I'm not sure if that's per day or per stay. Probably per day, the way that they do things. The cheapest room I know of is like $175, I think. I may be selling it short. And then it goes up to $300 or more. I'd hate to know just how much the damn suite is up there. So we can't afford to stay there. We're going to have to stay in a cheap hotel. And I wanted to be able to hold his items, which you can only do that with the biggest package, which is going to be $200 after tax. My kids, I don't think, need to hold his items. My two biggest kids, who are 11, are not fans of Elvis. My youngest daughter, my 6-year-old, she's the Elvis fan. And if I was to get the cheaper packages, not the $200 one, but the other VIP package, if I got that one or the one below it, she would be free because 6 and under is free. If I got the $200 packages, only 2 and under is free. So if you spend more money, they're not free. If you spend less money, they're free. And I would think that's because you would get to see less things, and not really. You just don't get to hold his stuff, and you don't get the meal vouchers and stuff. Everything else, all the museums are already on those packages that do 6 and under free. So I don't understand it. So what I was going to try to do was, because you have to do all this in one day, so you got to think, if you're traveling from out of the U.S. to come visit, or out of state, out of different states like me, you have to get all this done in one day. Otherwise, you're going to have to rebuy tickets, and the cheapest they have is $65. So I'd have to rebuy all these tickets for me and my kids if we didn't see everything in one day. It takes 4 to 5 hours to see most of it. So my plan was to try to go early morning, and this is what people told me to do in Sherry Lacker's page, was to reserve my trip to go through early morning, because they're all set at different times. And then when I get out, my kids and them would go through on their time, and I would go in with them, because I need to go in to take the pictures and stuff. Not only do I want to see their reactions, but I want to be able to take pictures and stuff, because my husband doesn't think of that. And even if he did, he probably wouldn't give it but a couple. and I wouldn't get to see much of it. So my plan was to go through them when they go, because we get to go through as many times as we want. But I'm already going to have to go through the very earliest time possible if I go to do mine, just so I can hold his items. They would have to wait till I get out and go whatever time is after that. And then we'd have to go, it'd take the whole 4 hours of that to see everything, and hopefully we would see everything. And then my plan was to go to Sun Studios. I'm trying to take 2 days to be in Memphis, but unfortunately I got to cram it all in one day, because they don't allow you to come back and finish the next day. It just does not work like that. Kind of like the fair, if you don't get to ride all the rides, you just don't get to unless you pay again. But the thing is with this is, people are traveling out of state to go to it. The fair comes to you, dude. You know, so we're having to spend all this money to travel out of state. And if I was to get us all the $200 tickets, that would be $1,000 right there. I don't even have a whole lot saved up yet. I'm still saving to go. So I'm not going to be able to afford to stay in the hotel. I'm not going to really be able to afford to get us all $200 tickets. I'm going to have to hope and pray that if my kids go at a different time and have to wait for me to get out to go through with them, that we get to finish seeing everything in the museums that one day. So guys, if you have ever been, especially recently, and you know what the museums are split up into, and you know of a good but cheap hotel that we can stay in, since I can't stay in the hotel like I would like, just because we're going one time. I mean, to me, it's really not a big deal. Elvis never stayed there. They created it to make more money, in my opinion, for fans who would like to feel like they're staying in Graceland. So to me, it's not a big deal, but I would just like to say that I went, because it's probably going to be the only time I get to go, sadly. So if you know of any cheap hotels, and you have been, and you know how all the museums are divided up, what museums they have, besides just I know the car one, but I'm not really sure of how the other ones are divided up. Because what they did was, they took items from off of Graceland and out of Graceland, and they put them in other buildings to create more museums. And now that they have all his stuff divided up into all these different museums, even bought his cars back to make more cars, to make a whole car museum, because they weren't going to have enough. It's all about money. They didn't have to move all that stuff. They could have kept the planes across the street and charged for that, and they could have kept the cars and the vehicles, his riding vehicles, that his little toys, should I say, all that could have stayed there like it was in 1982 when they opened, and they could have just charged us for one thing just to go, and not charge us $200 damn. just to be able to hold his stuff too, because that's the only thing I see different is meal vouchers are given with you and you get to hold his items. So my plan is to call him and see if they'll let maybe me and my kids go through at the same time. Maybe if they'll just let me just hold his items and not them, and maybe they don't give me the meal vouchers for them. That way we don't have to go in 2 different times and then risk not getting to go through all the museums. Maybe they'll let me do that, but I doubt it. I really hope that they would, be seeing how I'm traveling out of state and I don't live in Memphis. But that just goes, I'm bringing all this up because I'm trying to point out that everything that was ever his, or everything that they could possibly make about him, is already done. What more could they be needing to expand Graceland for? What more? And they decided to hold a meeting with the neighbors before they went ahead and said, oh, we're just going to do it anyway. The neighbors are not happy. Some of them are all for it, but they're like, if you take care of the issues that we have right now with what you already have, then we'll be fine. And then some of them are like, you know, hell no, because they say the concerts are really loud. And then there's one family that says that the pipelines run in their backyard from the hotel. My thing is, I'm with them. I'm like, what, you know, I'm like, no, because there's nothing else they need to expand it for, just unless it's just to charge more money. But I'm also like, well, if you moved there 10 years ago, a lot of that stuff was already there when you moved there. So if you expected to have all this land in privacy when you moved next to Elvis Presley's mansion that turned into a tour historic building, you should have expected the traffic to come in and out. They're saying the concert's too loud, there's too much traffic, and then the pipeline water issues, saying that the concrete, I'm not sure what concrete they have in their backyard, but they say the concrete's all cracked up from the water pipes. But if you moved there just 10 years ago, a lot of this stuff was mostly there. I know the car museum's new and stuff, but you should have expected car and foot traffic to be coming in and out, because nothing else, the mansion and stuff was there, the tour historic building was there. Concert and events, it's not something that they're doing every day. They have an Elvis week and they hold concerts that I'm aware of, so that's 1 week. That's no different than the fair coming in your town, and they have every freaking ride in the fair lit up and the music blasting. Everybody that lives around that area where the fair comes has to deal with that for not just 1 week, but 3 weekends in a row. You know, that's almost a whole week total for them too, but at 8 days at that. So no, actually, they come for like 3 weekends, yeah, 9 days. So there's like a total of 9 days, sometimes 12, depending on how long they're there, that people deal with the fair all the time. So you're only dealing with concerts not that much. And the foot traffic and the car traffic, that was already there kind of when you moved there, unless you've been there since way before Elvis passed away. But then again, you pretty much had to deal with traffic and fans being everywhere too. And if you are living close enough to where the pipelines are running in your backyard from the hotel, if I'm not mistaken, the hotel's kind of close to Graceland too. If I'm not mistaken, doesn't it all run together? So they moved pretty close to Graceland in itself anyways, for the pipelines to be from the hotel be running through their backyard. So I just think if you wanted peace and quiet, you wouldn't move next to a business, and also a Elvis Presley business for that matter. But I'm one to say that they don't have a damn thing they need to expand for, and it's just to charge more freaking money. Because if they know if they put something up, or they take more stuff out of Graceland, or split one of the museums in two, they know people are going to pay just so they can see it all, because they're coming from out of the U.S., states away, and they have to see everything because they might not get to come back. They're taking advantage of that. They're taking advantage of us not having the money to come back, and taking every dime that we have when we go. That's how I feel about it. To me, it's just a damn money grab. So I would love to hear your guys' comments about it. I'm about to do a part 2 on another subject. So while this one's uploading, I will be filming part 2. By the time you get done watching this one, if part 2 is not uploaded yet, give it some time. It will be uploaded. So I will see you guys in part 2. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below.